In today's video, I'm going to break down an idea for you that I've put together over roughly an hour of a melodic house style track. It's a great starting point, and if you listen to it now and you like what you hear, stick around to the end and I'll let you know how you can get your hands on the project. Okay, so the first thing I did this morning was I came out to the studio and I decided to first of all start off with a melodic element in the track. Generally, I start my tracks off with melodic elements, whether it be an atmospheric loop, whether it be a lead. Something has to trigger the initial idea. So I'll sit and listen to samples, and if something jumps out at me, generally I will build on that sample and stay within the key of that track. Today was a little bit different. Rather than picking an atmospheric sound or a sample from Splice to start off the track, I had a little pluck sound in my head that was playing over and over again, and that's the first thing that I started off with today. So I loaded up a Serum and I found a nice sound that I liked. Now this one here was from Abstract Music, I think. Yeah. I got it a long time ago, and I think it was, you give your email address and they give you a little short sample pack with a few sounds in it. And this is the Fur Cloud Pluck. Now this is what it sounds like. If I can just play this for you now. I'm going to actually take the processing off it as well, because the processing does give it the delay effect that you're listening to. So this is what it sounds like on its own. There are some effects in the actual Serum itself, but this portal here adds a lot more sort of effects and delays to it as well. We'll turn that on in a second, but this is what the rhythm looks like. So the rhythm is quite repetitive the whole way across, but it gave me a good foundation and a good starting point for bringing other sounds in and around it and turning it into the style of track that I wanted. So let's have a listen to that. And inside the Serum itself, this has a little bit of automation where you can hear the filter opening up over time. I can't take credit for that patch. That was made by Faircloud himself. Now I just EQ'd off some of the low end, and over time there is actually a filter cut off as well there that comes down towards this little mini break here. I've actually done a little bit more than that. So if I open this up and hit A for automation, drop it down to auto filter, you can see that I've brought this sound down over time, and that's why the filter is here. It's not part of the sound design process, it's just part of the automation chain. So there's a little bit of OTT on it. I'll turn that off for now as well. Just gives it a little bit more power and brings some of those lower frequencies and mid frequencies and pulls them up closer to the higher frequencies and brightens the whole sound up overall. Now this is Portal, and it's made by Output or Arcade, and this crystalline accent is the the preset that I've used. Now, these presets are generally all wet. I've pulled it back and let some of the dry signal through, but I got that inside the actual delay section there, and this is what it sounds like with that. Sorry, I've just changed the shape. There we go. This is what it sounds like with the portal on. Quite nice. Lots of little reverses and flutters going on in the background. Okay, so the next element that I thought would trigger some sort of melodic theme or melodic idea was the atmosphere. So I'll bring it up here just underneath the plug and let you hear that. Now that is just an audio sample that I've found on Splice, and I'll just group all these together just so that you can hear it on its own. And we'll just turn those effects off, and this is what that sounds like. And just to talk you through the chain below, so I've used some EQ, cut off some of the lows, cut off some of the highs, and put Valhalla Shimmer on it, which is a huge reverb. After the reverb, we've just cut off a lot of those lows again. I did bump a little bit up here, but I still wanted to roll a lot of the other highs off. After that, we've got LFO tool, which gives you that little side chain pump up and down, and just gets the head bopping whenever you're listening to the track. After that, there's filter delay, which makes it a little bit more wider and more stereo. And the filter again is just part of the automation and not the actual sound design itself. So I'll play it while it's on, and then I'll turn the I'll turn the effects chain on and turn the effects chain back off again so that you can hear the difference. So that's it off. And that's it on. There's a bit of movement going on in there as well. So what does that sound like then with the pluck? So let's turn that on, have a listen to it, and you can see already it's given us a little bit of an idea as to the direction of the track that you heard at the very start. So after that, I brought in a grand piano, and I have, I suppose, a preset save from a previous track. Shout out to Zen World. I watched one of his videos before, and he showed you how to make this lovely Anjuna Deep style chord stack, and you can use it in any track, and then you can use the scale so that it fits any key as well afterwards. So let me just play one of the keys on this here. Lovely chords, you know. So I played around with, you know, what that chord progression would sound like against the other sounds, and also I have probably played with velocity a little bit too. Let's see. So, you know, the softer you hit the note, it's quiet, and the harder you hit it, it is it's more louder. So here we've had the first one a little bit lower, and the second one higher, and the third one a little bit lower again, and I've just repeated that pattern over and over again. After the actual piano samples itself, we've got a little bit of EQ8 rolling off the bottom frequencies, and then some Valhalla reverb afterwards. So I'll let you hear the grand piano on its own, and then we'll add the atmosphere, and then we'll add the plug-in as well, just to see. You can see it stacking up into that melodic feel. In comes the plug. Then we'll bring in the atmosphere. There's only one more melodic element within the actual track so far, and it's a diva sample at the bottom. I signed up a while ago for Lars' Patreon, and he was giving away diva presets and patches, if you remember, of his Patreon group. And he made some really, really cool patches. He's Out of the Loop on YouTube, and I came across this little sample, or this little preset here. Really nice, fluttery, uses a lot of LFOs, so, and you know, just playing them subtly with the chords work. So let's have a listen. We'll play it with the chords. So it is just the basic patch. I haven't really done anything with it at all apart from EQ it and add a little bit of multi-band compression to that as well. So let's stack those up against each other as well. And we'll play all the melodics together, and then we'll go through the drums, the bass line, and the little vocal sample that I selected, and then we'll play it all together at the end. So let's have a listen to the piano, and we'll build it and stack it from there. So already stacking up into a nice melodic house track there. Okay, so we'll forget about the melodics for now, and we'll start looking through what the actual percussion looks like. The kick drum has no processing on it. It is a kick drum from the Cyclopedia 2 sample pack, which I'm a massive fan of. Here comes with about 18 gig of samples, and in particular, if you're a house producer or a melodic techno producer, progressive house producer, I would highly recommend looking at this sample pack. So let's have a look at the kick drum itself. I picked one that was, you know, punchy but still carried a bit of weight, so on its own I just brought the sample in and consolidated that the whole way across. Okay, no EQ on it, nothing. So as it was, I was happy enough. As I say, we're not into the mixing stage, it was just to get the general idea going. But as it stands, I was quite happy with that kick drum. So after that, I wanted to get a hat into the mix, and I loaded a drum rack up and looked through my favourite, I suppose, hats or shaker samples, and loaded those in, and then drew in the offbeat hi-hat shape that we all know, and then cycled through all those different sounds until I came to one that I really liked. And I'll just turn off this vocoder at the end so I'll let you hear it before. So a little bit of reverb on the, a little bit of reverb from one of the return channels. But to give it that more of a melodic house feel, I added the vocoder and just mix the dry wet signal in. If you haven't used this before on your hats, shakers, open hats, things like that, I would recommend having a go at it. It allows you to, the release can make it longer, that's nice and tight. Like that about there myself. And the more wet you go, the more of a white noise hit it becomes. The more into the left it has the original sample, so just sort of mixed it in. And obviously if you don't want it affecting some of the lower ranges, you can take that down to sweep it up so it's just the real highs it's affecting. Take that back anyway. So just a straightforward offbeat shaker hat there. And after that I added a clap. The clap is in a similar way. I got my favourite clap samples out of the pack, dropped it into a drum rack, and I was able to cycle through those as well and pick out the clap that I liked the most. And I've just filtered off some of the real top end on that just to make it a little bit darker and a little bit more melodic house, with some reverb from the return channel as well coming through here. So playing that together with the hats. So the next three here are Foley samples, and Foley samples can be unpredictable but still rhythmic. Has a very gritty sound to it as well, and very commonly used in this style of music. So I haven't really changed anything in them, maybe the start point of where it had started, and just used a little bit of EQ on it. But they can be very, very interesting, so I'll hit this play button here now and let you hear this first Foley loop, and then we'll play that with the kick drum. And the second Foley loop that I've added after that has it sounds like a tom in the background with those Foley samples as well, so it works really well. And in combination with the hi-hat and the clap, the loop just sounds really well. And just nothing more than an EQ, just rolling that off. The second Foley loop down, I have rolled off the top end, and I've made a drastic dip in the Pro Q area of where the clap sound sort of was, because we have a clap in our track, and realistically it was really the lower end of the actual frequency we wanted in it anyway. So let me have a listen here. Frequency where the kick actually hits is being dynamically just popped out of there once it's hitting, so the kick drum can come through a little bit easier. I'm actually going to shift these forward a little bit. Okay, that sounds a bit better. The reason I've shifted this forward rather than just moving the start point is it took a wee bit of the energy away from the shaker itself. Whenever you move the start point in, you're losing the start of that shaker, the attack. So it sounded a little bit shorter. So just by moving it more to the left, actually made it feel a little bit more in time there, which I must have missed earlier on. Okay, but yeah, that's the loops all together. There is one on top of that at the bottom here, which is more of a hi-hat style running hat. Let's see. And that's just to fill out the background a little bit more. These ones are the more dominant ones here. So that's the percussion. We'll move on to the bass now, and it was just a simple serum. I tried a couple of different notes and they didn't seem to be playing quite well at the time. I think my serum needs updated. Last time it started misbehaving, I had to update it and it sort of fixed it. So I went for a sustained note. I did want something more rhythmic, but I went for a sustained note then. It stopped the messing around. I'll get the update done probably after this. So the bass notes start at A, move up to B, and then C sharp. They sort of follow the piano chords there. So if I just hit solo on that, and the only thing I've done there is added LFO tool for a little bit of a sidechain duck, and nothing special or designed from scratch. I've used one of the bound to divide respace and just close the filter a little bit more as well. So have a listen to that on its own. I'll play it with the piano. And the last thing there was just a vocal hook. And all I done with this vocal, if I just loop this here, was went into Splice and filtered the track on C sharp minor, I think this is. Yeah. So filtered the results in C sharp minor, looked for a vocalist in that key, and particularly, I mean, never try to pick a specific genre. Pop vocals can work well, but in this particular occasion, the lo-fi sample actually worked really well. So, I mean, I wouldn't be selecting genre house just to, I suppose, limit your options. Leave the genre off and flick through vocals. You'd be very surprised whether a trap house vocal would work with, you know, a techno track and things like that. So let's have a listen to this little loop here, and we're going to take off the processing there, and we'll take off to -6, so we'll pull that down again. So the vocal on its own sounds like this. Oh, forgot to solo it.
Put it off till tomorrow. Why on a day? You could come closer. Why we need closure? This is pretend, it's a shame.
So it is nice at the pitch it is, but I did put little alter boy on it and took the performance back a little bit on it. Just puts it more into that sort of Anjuna Deep vibe, I think.
Put it off till tomorrow. Why on a day?
And then after that, on the return channel, it popped Valhalla, and it was at -6. Let's have a listen to it there.
Put it off till tomorrow. Why on a day? You could come closer. Why we need closure? This is pretend, it's the same. Put it off till tomorrow. Why on a day? You could come closer. Why we need closure? This is pretend, it's the same. Put it off till tomorrow. Why on a day?
Yeah, happy enough with that. So it took about an hour this morning to put that idea together. From the initial thought of making the lead sound and the rhythm that I wanted, and then I didn't really know after that where we were going. It was just about trial and error after that. So that's why it took roughly an hour. Ideas don't just spill out of your head every time you try to write a song. But I like to get these little starter projects up and then move on to another one, move on to another one, and have this folder full of startup ideas, because sitting here for an hour, whatever it may be, you know, listening to these loops over and over again, you can come a little bit fatigued quick enough. So jumping from project to project, leave it for a week or so, come back to it, and all of a sudden all these new ideas spring from nowhere and you can get the track finished really, really quickly. So I'm just going to finish on this note here. I said at the start of the video that if you're interested in getting your hands on the project, you can head over in the link in descriptions. I have a Patreon style account with Stan Store, and the actual projects that I make on YouTube are all uploaded in there, and you can download them from there. If there is any style of music you would like me to cover, or you've got any questions, you can let me know in the comments below.